All right, so for today's recipe, I'm gonna show you guys how to make this beautiful country fried chicken and waffle recipe with this wonderful Chasseur sauce with beef reduction, crispy bacon, tender tomatoes, some fresh picked herbs, and makes for a wonderful brunch. Just a killer recipe. All right, so we're gonna start out the recipe making our buttermilk dredge. But it's not gonna be a traditional buttermilk because I'm using sour cream and milk to substitute for what would be buttermilk. Add your milk, onion powder, some cayenne pepper for a little heat, salt, and you want a generous amount of salt, a lot of black pepper. And whisk this until it all comes together. It doesn't have to be perfect. All right, and you're gonna make the flour dredge pretty much the same way. Cayenne powder, onion powder, paprika, and then black pepper. All right, now this is like the country part for me personally, is to have some fresh, hearty herbs. Rosemary, thyme, sage. If it gets a little too much sage, it starts to taste like Thanksgiving. So unless you want it to taste like that, I'd stay away from it. Add that to the bowl. Just give that a good mix. Perfect. Since I want to kind of knock this out and make it a pretty easy brunch, I'm just using the skinless breasts, and I'm going to cut them into smaller pieces just so that the salt and the spices absorb into the breast meat quickly, and I don't have to wait for a 24-hour or even a half day for everything to sort of meld. One like that. Kind of on a bias, on a slant. And then with these, I'm gonna give them just a slight tenderization. To give a good coating. And then we're gonna let these rest for about an hour. Next up on the list is the Chasseur sauce, or the hunter sauce. I'm gonna be omitting the mushroom aspect of it. It has fresh herbs, a wine element. It could be red wine or white. And I'm just gonna dice this white onion. And we're gonna dice up some of this thick sliced bacon. Put these in the pan. And we're just gonna render them down. Almost there. This just reserved the fat. And we're gonna add in our onions. And we're gonna add a splash of this beautiful Sauvignon Blanc from Cloudy Bay. Wonderful vineyard out in New Zealand. Got good citrus, a little sweet. And just deglaze that. Pull off the fond from the bottom of the pan, and we're gonna reduce that by at least 3/4. Our beef stock. And then here I have a little bit of demi-glace that I'm gonna add in and reduce this by another 3/4. I'm gonna get my tomato prepped out to finish the sauce. You could blanch it as well. And the skin should just peel right off. Super easy way of getting a fresh, skinless tomato. Remove the seeds. Gotta press it flat against the cutting board. And cleanly dice them up to little medium dices. We're just gonna set these off to the side like so. Make sure to chop up some fine herbs for your Chasseur sauce. You can add tarragon to this as well, but just here I have some chives and Italian parsley. Perfect, just like that. Beautiful fiend herbs for your sauce. Now at this point, that sauce should be reduced beautifully. Nice and nappe. Beautiful sauce. And we'll finish this right at the last second with the tomatoes, bacon, and the fresh herbs. All right, set this aside in a warm spot. I'm gonna take a piece of the dredged buttermilk chicken and just put it straight in there really wet. And then I'm gonna sort of mash the flour into the flesh of the chicken. If there's some excess flour, that's okay too. It'll start to stick to the chicken. I don't know if you can see those cracks like that. That's what you're looking for. I like to do one final thing. I'm just gonna sprinkle some of the wet right over the top, almost like little drips. And then I'm gonna sprinkle some of the dry mix right over the top of that and kind of pat it in. It gives it just a little bit more crunch. That'll create some good crispy flakes, a little extra. Now we're gonna let these sit for about 30 minutes. All right, so I got a little mixing bowl here for my waffle batter. I'm gonna add in my all-purpose flour, cake flour. Now I'm gonna add my sugar, a little bit of salt, baking powder. And I'm gonna add in my egg, vanilla paste, sour cream, and the milk. Give this a good whisk until everything's combined. A little lumps here and there isn't a terrible thing. Sure to whisk in some warm melted butter. Perfect, just like so. And then we're gonna cover this and let this rest for 30 minutes, just so the dry ingredients and the wet ingredients sort of become one solid homogenized mixture. All right, here I got my frying oil. I'm gonna bring this up to about 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And just look at that chicken. Nice and flaky, beautifully seasoned. I'm gonna fry these, I don't know, 7 to 8 minutes each. Season with salt to finish, and then we're gonna put these in a 350 degree oven while we prepare our waffles. All right, here I'm just gonna make a quick vanilla compound butter. Softened butter here, put it into a bowl, and then good amount of the vanilla bean paste. This stuff is pretty strong too. Good consistency. Set that aside, room temperature. All right, so we got our waffle batter ready to go. The waffle iron is ripping hot. Sometimes the first waffle is a dud, so let's see how it goes. About 1.5 scoops. Close that up and see how it turns out. You can kind of tell when the waffle is just about ready as the majority of the steam subsides. Yep, sometimes the first one's a little bit of a dud. Not too bad though. All right, got our last waffle. That is, oof, beautiful. Now we're gonna finish our Chasseur sauce. Do the fresh tomato, good amount. Nice and fresh, beautiful sauce. Normally it does come with mushrooms, but this is nice. Keeps this a little bit on the lighter side, even though it's still pretty decadent. Okay. Oh, yes, that looks incredible. And now it's time to plate this up. Fold it over like so. Oof, those are toasty. Really nice pieces of chicken, just like so, nice and cozy tight. Just a good drizzling all around the plate. Country fried chicken and waffles, vanilla whipped butter, Chasseur sauce, maple syrup. Ooh, cheers. This is special. This is a perfect brunch. Amp up your game. Enjoy some French sauce making, and you have a beautiful country fried chicken and waffle recipe. Cheers, everybody.